Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Kim, if you don't remember from when we met last month, now that it was. Um, so I'm here to help you with your research for SA3. Last time that we met, we focused on learning Zotero and popular sources because that was what was required for SA2. For today, what we're going to accomplish is a short review of how to capture stuff to your library. And then we're going to focus on scholarly resources because SA3 asks you to find, I believe, at least 2 scholarly sources. So we're going to talk about what that means, where you find them, and how to use the various filters to limit your search results to just scholarly sources. So I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. All right. You should see the library's homepage in a moment. Here we are. All right. Let me just get into what we're going to go over today. So just as a short review of last time, we talked about scholarly sources and popular sources, how they're different, how we use them. As a review, popular sources, those are things made for the popular press, written for everybody, the lay person. You don't have any specialized knowledge in order to understand a popular source. Easy to read. Terms are defined, gives a broad overview of a topic, written by journalists, writers, bloggers. Sorry, my ear was itchy. Scholarly sources, on the other hand, these can sometimes be called academic, sometimes peer-reviewed, sometimes juried. These terms are all used generally interchangeably, and you'll see them used, all these different terms used in the library databases as we get in them. These, on the other hand, are written for and by experts in the field, so scientists, professors, academics, historians, social scientists. These are written for their peers, so they're going to have a little bit of a different flavor. Instead of giving a broad overview of a topic, scholarly journal articles tend to be highly specific. So when you're doing your searching, um, don't anticipate that you'll find the perfect scholarly article on topic. If your topic touches upon a very popular culture topic or a very new topic, like within the last 1 or 2 months, there may not be a scholarly article on that. You may need to think broadly and find a scholarly article on the broader context of what you're talking about. But scholarly articles tend to be like hyper focused on one little aspect, one detail of a topic. So there's not going to be that one perfect article that talks about everything that you need in order to explain your topic. You're going to have to look at a bunch of different places and piece together your research that way, which is part of the reason why for your paper you have to have at least 8 sources. You need to have at least 8 sources in order to get enough information, enough references, to make your argument, to prove your thesis. So think of, as you approach reading these articles, you might only get 1 or 2 sentences, maybe one paragraph, maybe 1 or 2 pages out of a 15-page article is really helpful. That is a big win. So go into this part of it with that kind of mindset because of how hyper specific academic journals and academic journal articles are. Because they're written for other experts, they are going to use specialized vocabulary. They're going to use jargon that they're not going to define because their presumed audience already knows what those words mean, what those references refer back to. So you might have to look things up a little bit, spend more time with these articles. It may be harder for you to read them. Expect that too. That's completely normal. These things are not written for undergraduate students. Again, they're written for people who've been studying this stuff for 10, 20, 30 years. So, give yourself some, time to digest and go through these articles. Along those same lines, you'll often see that these articles take very similar formats. One thing that they often have in common is they have an abstract, which is just a fancy word generally for a summary. So there's a paragraph that will summarize what the article is about, what its arguments are, what are the methodologies used, if it's like a scientific paper, what the results are. That paragraph is really important because you can very briefly read it and determine if the article is good for you before dedicating the time and effort to reading something that's a little more difficult that's going to take you time to get through. So always be on the lookout for that abstract and definitely read that. The other thing that you'll find in every academic, scholarly, peer reviewed journal article are citations. They must include a bibliography, citations, footnotes, endnotes in some style, MLA, Chicago, APA. If the article you're looking at does not have references, it is not academic. That is a hard and fast rule. So when you're using the library databases, there are buttons you can press to have the library databases only give you academic stuff. 9.9 times out of 10, it does a great job of filtering that out too for you. Sometimes some things will slip through the cracks, which we'll look at. So always just look and make sure, does this article have references? Is there footnotes and endnotes? If yes, then you're good. If no, then it cannot be a like academic article. Um, okay. Oops. Progress. There we go. So, scholarly articles, again, they're written by researchers or experts in the field to share their results with the rest of their discipline, right? They're not sharing it with the popular press, the lay media, right? They're sharing it with their own peers. Um, Articles are submitted. Editors of a journal determine whether or not it's to be published. The most prestigious, rigorous of academic journals then subject the article to a peer review process. That literally means a panel of peers, so a group of people who are also experts in the same field, review the article. They're looking for scholarly soundness. So, are those citations good? Um, Academic value. Are they contributing something to the field? Are they saying something new or looking at the topic in a new way? Or are they just, regurgitating old stuff that someone else has already said? Are the methods valid? Are they reliable? Can they be replicated? Um, you'll you may have heard in the news peer review when it comes to some of the like vaccine studies that are happening now, right? So there are a lot of stuff with the vaccines and how we test for COVID and everything. These things are being produced very quickly because it's literally a matter of life and death, right? So the scientists who are studying this right now in real time are pushing the results out as quickly as they can. But you'll see this caveat in a lot of the news articles. This is yet to be peer reviewed. So peer review is not just something that happens in our sheltered academia world. It's something that happens in the sciences and health and technology, so that these research studies and then the articles that are produced to report the results of these studies, in this case, COVID vaccines, studying how it spreads, those things need to be reviewed by other experts to see whether or not it's valid. That peer review process takes a long time. The other peers have to read it. They have to see if they can replicate what they're doing, see if it's valid, do research themselves. So that's why you might see that in the news, because that peer review process will slow down some of these like scientific advancements. But you need that in order to know that the science is valid. On the same hand, if you remember from last time, even if it's not like a scientific topic, the peer review process is time consuming. It could take months, back and forth between someone submitting the article, having to make revisions. It goes back to the peer review. So again, if you're searching on something that's very, very new, something that's happening right now, especially in popular culture, you won't find a scholarly peer reviewed article on that. Yeah. There are some articles about COVID if your topic is COVID related, because it's been around for about a year. So there are some scholarly peer reviewed articles about that. But like very, very, very recent things that are happening, like you won't find a scholarly peer-reviewed article on, the new like infrastructure legislation that, Biden is trying to push through, right? Because that's still happening. It's still really new. We'll find a lot of New York Times articles about that, popular press, but not so much scholarly peer-reviewed stuff in like a political science journal. Probably next year, if it happens, there will be. So, again, it's going to have specialized language, extensive references, and we are going to use those references um, to our advantage, which we'll see later. So scholarly journal articles are also going to be pretty plain looking. If we remember from last time, when you conjure up an image of a popular press article, it's going to probably have a lot of nice color images. It might have some cool font work going on, some graphic design. Scholarly journal articles are going to look more like this. They're going to be very plain, straight to it, just reporting what's there. If there are images, simple charts, graphs, stuff like that. And over here are just some names of journals. And I put them here so you can see that even scholarly journals are very, very specific. Like you can have a scholarly journal article that just talks about the work of one writer, like James Joyce Quarterly, right? Or talks about one particular aspect of history or one particular aspect of music. So just like how the articles themselves are very highly specific, the journal itself can also be just about one niche part of a particular discipline. And you can imagine that the audience for those journals are also pretty small. Um, Unlike popular press, which is a very, very large audience, these are for a very hyper specialized group of people. There's different types of scholarly literature. Um, I just show this chart here just to show you and reinforce the point of when we were talking about popular sources, we were talking about the different types of popular articles. News articles tell you what's going on. Opinion articles have weigh in on a topic one way or the other. There are articles that are meant to entertain you. Just like there are those different categories, there are those different categories of scholarly articles as well. And the more research you do as you progress through your career at Purchase, you'll find them, especially if you go into the physical sciences or like the social sciences. You'll see some of these more like scientific approach to scholarly writing that is talked about in this slide. So just a minor word of caution when we're talking about scholarly journals. Um, Not everything published in what is designated as a scholarly peer-reviewed academic journal is itself scholarly peer-reviewed academic. There are things like book reviews, editorials, news items like, oh, this person got hired to be a professor here, that do not count as a scholarly journal article. They're not peer-reviewed. They're published in a peer-reviewed publication, but these different types of articles you might see are not peer-reviewed. The one easy way you can distinguish them is they're not going to have a bibliography. So unlike the articles that are peer-reviewed, these things are not going to have a bibliography. Even if they are part of and published in a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. So this is why I say that the library filters that you can click on work, 99.9% of the time, because sometimes these things slip through the cracks. So once again, if you're ever unsure, see if it has a bibliography, works cited references, endnotes, whatever. If you're still unsure, ask me, ask Professor Deering. Okay, so how do we find these? So most of the library databases that we have include scholarly sources of some type. Look for these filters. Limit to, source type. We're going to look for those. They're ordinarily always going to be on the left side of the screen. You'll see that in 1 second. And you'll see that they use peer-reviewed and scholarly interchangeably, sometimes academic. Very rarely do we see juried, but generally means the same thing. So where do we go to find them? So we go to the library databases. So the library database is an online resource that the library subscribes to that contains articles, other information that is generally published in print first, like journals, reference books, magazines, news, with different types of databases. In college writing, we're mostly going to be concentrating on article databases. That's what we talked about last time, and that's really all we're going to look at this time. Um, there are other types of databases. There are databases of video, of images, of music scores, but really we're just going to focus on article databases. So, article databases allow you to search thousands, sometimes millions of different journals at the same time on a topic. So, when we're talking about these things, I'm using a lot of, databases, journals, articles. That is certain jargon within academic publishing. So, just so you understand how the hierarchy plays out, the databases contain multiple journals. Sometimes databases are interdisciplinary, and most of the ones I'm going to show you today cover many different disciplines. Sometimes the databases are highly specific and just cover one discipline, like history, like sociology, like art history, like chemistry. Within those databases are the journals that it indexes. So these are the journal titles that it's able to search for. These are things that can, again, be of a specific subject area, and they're ordinarily published in print first. And then within those journals, you're going to find the articles that we were just talking about, the academic articles, scholarly articles that are part of what other things that you're looking for. So understand the different way in which the information is organized that you guys are getting access to. One just final distinction, all of the library databases, you're going to get to it from the web, but these are not internet sources. You are permitted to have two internet sources for SA3. Stuff from the library databases is not from the web. In fact, like I said, most of the things that you find are originally published in print. You're just accessing PDFs, you're accessing like a full text version of it, but most of the time, if you wanted to view these things in print, you could. And people do. People get them mailed to their house and stuff like that. So these are things that the library pays for you to have. You must get to all of the databases that I show you today from the library's website. It's really important that you look for your scholarly sources through the library as opposed to looking on the web on Google. Very few scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles can be found on the open web. This is changing a little bit. There's a little bit more of this, more push towards open access where you don't have to pay these high dollar amounts to get access to scholarly articles. But still, the large majority, you need to go through the library to get to them because these are things that we pay for. So even if you use Google Scholar, if you are Googling around for a topic, you might encounter a scholarly journal article. You'll get to the publisher's website, and the publisher is going to ask you to sign in or to pay money in order to access the full text. We never ever want to pay, ever. You are already paying to be a student. Because of that, you have access to tons of library databases that have already paid for this content for you. So using Google, using Google Scholar is not the most effective way to find scholarly peer-reviewed sources. So, where are we going to look? We're going to look in a couple different places. The first three are general interdisciplinary sources. These three, Discovery, Academic Search Complete, ProQuest Research Library, cover all sorts of topics. So no matter if your topic gears more towards popular culture or health or science or art or music, it doesn't matter. These first three, you'll be able to use them no matter what your topic is. So let's get into that a little bit. So here I am on the library homepage. Just as a reminder, I have Zotero open in the background. If you use Zotero a lot for Essay 2, great. Continue using it if you liked it. If you didn't get a chance to use it and you want to give it a try, this is a good opportunity. Like you remember from last time, before you start saving stuff, we might want to make a folder. This will keep everything organized. So college writing, essay 3. This is important also, especially if you use this before for either college writing or other classes, or your essay 2, you have a change in topic. You want to make sure all the stuff, all the articles that you're collecting today for essay 3 live in their own discrete folder. So we want to make a new collection for that. Okay, so because this is highlighted, this is where everything is going to be saved. So we can let that chill in the background. Library homepage. Before I forget, because I forgot to mention this in the morning class, you'll see here at the very top, the library does have a survey open now until the 7th. If you have time, please take the survey, especially if you've used some of the COVID specific things that we've enacted, like contactless pickup. The library will most likely be open in the fall. So we want to hear from you, of what things are working, what things aren't working, what things are helpful, and what like resources that you need. So this is a really good opportunity for you to tell the library to tell us, this is what I need, this is what is important to me. It's really, really short, maybe like 5 to 7 minutes. So please take the survey. We'd really appreciate your thoughts. Um, okay, so Discovery. That's going to be your main search box. If you remember from last time, it's huge database. It's interdisciplinary. It's a fantastic place for everyone to start, no matter what discipline, genre, lens that your topic falls in. If we also remember from last time, we spent a lot of time talking about keywords, developing ways to break down your topic. In order to have somewhere to put those keywords, we need multiple search boxes, which we don't see yet, right? So if we remember, we want to just run an empty search just so we can get into the interface. And then we're going to press advanced search. Advanced search allows us to have these multiple search boxes, which is what we want. So here is where we can start entering in those search terms, right? I'm using my same topic as last time. You might be, or you might have something completely different. It's really important, as you remember, that these are, we're putting these on discrete lines, and they're separated by the word and. This is telling Discovery Search, and pretty much every database works the same way, that you want articles that have all 3 of these concepts in it. They can't just be talking about marketing and junk food, right? I specifically want that in the context of children. If you put all of your topics in a string here, the Discovery Search algorithm interprets that as any of those words are fine. So the word junk, or the word food, or the word children, or the word marketing, it'll treat all of those words equally and get you any article that contains any of those words, which is not what you want, right? Your articles need to contain all of these words. Okay, so let's press search and let's start using some filters. So again, here they are on the left side. Here's how we're going to refine our results. We want articles. That's the first thing we're clicking. And then we want peer-reviewed journals. So Discovery calls them peer-reviewed journals. And you'll see your result number go down and down as you use your filters. Discovery uses this little purple icon to indicate that the journal that this article in is designated as a peer-reviewed academic scholarly journal. Again, 9 times out of 10, that article is going to be scholarly peer-reviewed, but just always take a quick look at it. Does it have references? You're good to go, because this classification is made at the journal level, not at the article level. So it's assuming everything published in the American Journal of like Preventative Medicine is going to be a scholarly peer-reviewed article. Oh, you'll see here, just looking at the titles, again, how we're talking about how super specific these articles can be. And they might be also very specific to a particular geographic region. You'll see this a lot of times, especially with like social sciences type topics, that, you know, here I have represented Australia and Chile and Turkish parents. Depending on what your topic is, that may be something you can apply, or it may be completely different from a different like international perspective that you need to something that is focused in like the United States or North America. Okay, let's take a look at something that's interesting to you. So you're going through maybe this is interesting. You want to talk about junk food marketing, right? Not just commercials that they play during like cartoons and stuff like this, but how social media is marketing junk food to children. So here I scroll down. Here's that abstract, right? So here is the description of what this article is about. So I can read it, determine if I want to spend the time looking at this. I determine that I do. So what do I do first? I look for that full text content, right? So in discovery is pretty much only going to deliver you stuff that is available online full text, really simply. You'll see here that there's a couple different options. Click any one of them should get you to the full text. Sorry, my throat is so dry today. So here is your full text content, right? You can also have it as a pub reader, which is a PDF essentially. So if you scroll through here, you can see, okay, this might be really good for you. It looks really good. One of the things you definitely want to look for yourself after looking at something. We know this is scholarly peer reviewed. We have lots of references here, right? So we have over 40 footnote references for an article that's less than 10 pages long. So you can see the intense amount of citing that happens at the scholarly academic level. Because this is published in something called PubMed, which you see up here in URL, this is something that is made available to everybody from the government, probably because government funding in some way was used in order to produce this. So this is something that's freely available online, and most of the things that they cite have a URL, right? That can easily go to the PDFs of these articles. So makes it really nice and easy for you. So from here, we'll save this to our library so we have it always. That PDF will come along. And then we can also look through and see, okay, maybe there's some other really good articles in here that I can use well. And you'll start doing this more as you become a more skilled and experienced researcher, is you won't simply rely on the search algorithm to deliver you articles, right? So what I mean by that is you put words into a search box, you press search, and then you look through the articles that it gave you. That's one approach. The next approach is look at the stuff that the person or people who wrote the article found cited. That stuff is probably helpful for you. What happens if you're looking at an article that doesn't have all these really handy links, right? So let's take a look at a different one. Let's take a look at this article. All right, this has a slightly different perspective. This is about public health and about psychological First Amendment. A little more nuanced. We click on one of these, we log in because we're off campus to get to our full text. And if it was going slow in the morning class too, because it likes to torture me. Okay, so here's your PDF full text, right? Looks good. Here's the abstract, nice and short to the point. I like it. I decide I'm going to use it, save it to Zotero. Because I thought this was really good, I'm going to look at the references. So unlike this article, there are no URLs. There's no like easy clicking to get access to this, right? So if you're looking through and let's say footnote 5 looks really good to you because we were talking about online marketing. We were looking at an Instagram article and this is about online marketing. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. Maybe I need to track this down. You'll notice that, especially again with scientific journal article titles, they're very long and very specific, so they tend to abbreviate them. Like here, Journal of Adolescent Health, right? That's what that means. The Journal of the American Diet Association. They're very, very long names. Use these kind of weird like abbreviations. And so in order to get the full journal name, you might need to Google this because that's the one piece of information we need to track this article down. So this is the Journal of Public Policy Marketing. So let's take that title. We're going to go back to the library's homepage and we're going to copy and paste that in here. We're going to fill it in, right? Journal of Public Policy Marketing. And instead of leaving this on almost everything, we're going to click on Journals A to Z because I want to know, does the library have full text availability of articles that are in this journal? Because I discovered an article in this journal that I want to read. Press search. Here it is. Looks great. So here are the different databases that the library has that have full text coverage. We have the next thing that we need to pay attention to. First thing was the journal name. Second thing are the dates. So here, this is an article from 2007. The reason why that's important is you'll see that the full text availability changes via date in the different databases. So this particular database only has full text availability until 2002. That's not going to be very helpful for us because this article is from 2007. So the next one has available from 1982 to no date. When you see the no end date, that means to the present. 2002 falls within that giant range. This is the one I want to pick, right? So I click on it and it should bring me to a page where I can browse to 2007, issue 2, because that's what the citation told me. And then here it is, right? So from here, from this, I was able to find yet another article to add to my bibliography. This was also what's really important about having good citations. You're relying on the authors of the journals that you're using to have really good citations because you needed that citation in order to get to this journal article. Your readers also will be relying on you to create really good citations so they can very easily get back to the article that you use. So if they wanted to read that for their own research. So that's one of the reasons why citations, standard format citations are really, really helpful. What you'll also want to look at is sometimes academic journal they like to publish issues around themes. Not all of them do this, but some of them do. You'll notice that every article within that issue touches upon the same broader theme, and you'll see that as the case in this issue. You'll see all of the articles have to do with food marketing and youth, right? So this one's about television. This was about the online marketing. This one's about like convenience food. So you can see where I'm going with this, right? So not every issue of the Journal of Public Policy and Marketing is about children, food, marketing, right? This particular issue is all about that. So all of these articles, or probably some of them, are further going to be more helpful to you. So this is your next approach of being a more like intentional researcher. This is also a really good example of the journal marking this as an academic journal, academic article, whereas if you look at this actual PDF, it's just here are the people who are serving on the board. Here's the remembrance, right? These things in and of themselves, this is not a scholarly peer-reviewed article, but the databases think that it is because it says published in a journal that's scholarly peer-reviewed. I don't see any references. So I know 100% that this isn't. But pretty much everything else that comes up, that's just like the front matter of what you also should be looking out for in discovery are these red arrows. So the one arrow pointing down, that will link you to everything that is cited within this particular article, right? So all of the citations that this article had are pulled out here, and you can easily see if you can get internet access or not, right? Available online. No. So that's a really easy way for you to mine that bibliography. the arrows pointing up, let me just get back to the result here. Um, you find sources or citing article. This is a really effective tool to use, especially if you found a good article, but it's a little dated. So this one that I'm looking at here is from 2012. It's almost 10 years old at this point. So maybe you're like, I need something more recent. If you see these two arrows pointing up, obviously the sources that are citing this article, like you want to do, will be written after 2012 because they're citing it, right? So they're writing after that. So this is a good way for you to find more recent articles on the same or similar topic. You see that I'm looking here, I'm seeing 2017, 2018, 2019, 2019 articles that are generally the same because they're citing an article that you wanted to cite. So obviously the topic is going to be at least related. These little arrows are great tools for you to pay attention to build out that bibliography. So you'll see, so hopefully what you're getting from this is, the beginning step is putting search terms into a search box and having that search box do some work for me. The next step is has a little bit more of a human touch to it, where you are looking at what being cited. You're looking at what other human beings are citing the same things that you're doing and building your bibliography out that way. Not every article will have these arrows, but pay attention and see which ones that do. If the one that you want to use happens to have one, definitely if you need it. Just as a reminder, if you're not using Zotero, you can save articles using this little pin. Or if you want to email articles to yourself, click the little icon and use that permalink. Don't use the URL at the top. This is something that is session specific, and this will break over in like a couple days. So use that permalink. Okay, so that's how discovery works. If anyone has any questions about that, please put them in the chat. Or if you are more comfortable, you can unmute and ask them that way. While you guys are thinking of questions, the other two that are good for you to use are Academic Search Complete and ProQuest Research. Like Discovery Research, these are interdisciplinary, so they'll cover many different disciplines. So again, no matter what your topic is, these are good places to start. They also have very similar functionalities. So we go back to the library's homepage, click on Databases by Title, Academic Search Complete, press go. And then here, this is nice because we already have our multiple sources. So we don't need to use advanced search or anything like that. It's already set up here for us. Use your same search terms, experiment with different ones, right? You have your limiters here, so you can limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. If you forget to do that, don't worry, you have a second chance at it once you do your search. You can come over here, click scholarly peer-reviewed journals here, or in source type, you can click academic journals. Clicking either one of these will do the same thing. You'll get the same number of results. It's just two ways of doing the same thing. You're always going to get 57 results in this case. You might see some parallel results, some replications, but it's a good idea to search beyond just discovery because the different databases work slightly differently. You might be surprised at what things show up differently in Academic Search Complete and ProQuest Research Library that didn't show up when you use discovery, that are still related, and they might come from a journal that's also in discovery search but didn't come up immediately just because the databases, the algorithm that they run on is set up slightly differently. That's why I encourage you to use more than one. But you'll see again the same kind of thing. Different articles may be closely related to different countries. And again, you can decide whether or not that's relevant for you. Unlike Discovery, ProQuest Research Library, Academic Search Complete will have like a good amount of full text, but you might more encounter get full text from purchase. You'll have to use this link to let you know how you can get the full text content of this. So the full text isn't available immediately, but if I click get full text from purchase, it'll either tell me in what database it is available, or if we don't have it at all, we can ask for it from another library, which is a very simple process to use. So if you don't see the full text right away, don't be discouraged. Don't think that that's not something that you can get access to. Click on get full text from purchase to see what avenues you can use to get that full text. Okay, ProQuest Research Library works very similarly. Sorry. We go back to the library's homepage, databases by title, go down to P for ProQuest Research Library. So this one, the interface is slightly different, but it works generally the same. We want to click on advanced search. So we have our multiple search boxes. Again, we probably want to focus on having 2, maybe 3 different terms to put in. If you only have 1, then your topic is probably a little bit too broad. If you have 4 or 5, then your topic might be a little bit too narrow. You'll notice that you have your limiter here to peer reviewed. But again, if you forget to click that, you have a second chance at it. You can come over here, click peer reviewed or scholarly journals, just like academic source complete, the one I was just in. It's the same thing. It's just 2 different ways of saying the same thing. And very similarly, you'll see get full text from purchase. If the PDF isn't available or if the PDF is right there, you'll see that, right? So again, this one might look good to you because it's about Facebook. So you can capture that to your library. Right, and you'll also notice, similarly to Discovery Search, that we have this cited by and references link. So the references is like the arrows that we're pointing down. These are all of the things that are cited within this article, and you can see if you can get to them pretty easily. The cited by is like the 2 up arrows. So this article is from 2014. 32 other articles have cited that article since then that are available in ProQuest Research Library. So again, this is the same kind of tool in a different database to use to find more resources to get to you. You might also keep an eye on that number. If that number gets very high, then probably that article, if it was cited a bunch, is really important. Probably had a huge impact on the field. So you can look through the results that we have here. You know, this was cited 32 times. One of the other articles that are in here is cited 50 times. Here, you know, this article is a little bit older, so it's been around a while. More people have an opportunity to cite it. But if you're seeing something that's cited a bunch, you might want to take note of it and take a look at it because it probably was important. A lot of scholars are paying attention to it who are writing about the same topic you are. That might be something to check out. So this mechanism works very similarly, you know, to help you expand your research in that way. Again, your filters are always going to be on the side. Take advantage of them, and your date slider as well if you are looking for something that's a little bit newer. Okay, so Discovery Search, Academic Search Complete, ProQuest Research Library, these are all general interdisciplinary type databases. They're going to cover multiple topics, especially if your topic is like interdisciplinary, if you're writing something about art therapy, for example, that touches upon music, the visual arts, and psychology, right? So Discovery Search, Academic Search Complete, ProQuest Research Library will cover all of those topics. You might then decide that you need something from a particular perspective, a like particular discipline. So here, And your final approach is to look at the individual research guides and to look at individual databases that cover very specific disciplines. So back to the library's homepage, we click on research by subject, and we see the different types of um, research that we have here. And you can think about your topic and see which one or two or three of these your topic falls in. So you can see, like, okay, maybe you need a sociological perspective on your topic. So you can click on sociology. And most of the research guides are set up the same. They'll have an articles tab. And within that articles tab will be lots of databases. These databases are the ones that the librarian put together that they want you to use if you're doing any topic that happens to be about sociology in this case. Notice that they're not in alphabetical order because the one at the top, one they want you to use first. So take note of that. The lists are put together very like intentionally. So this is a database called Sessoins that's just about sociology. So while it looks the exact same as academic search complete, you'll see up here that I'm searching Sessoins. So I'm searching a completely different set of journals. So if you remember from this chart, my academic search complete is a completely different database that's searching completely different journals than Sessoins. They look the same because the vendor that we pay to get access to them is the same. It's a vendor called EBSCO, right? So you'll encounter this a lot in library research because there aren't a lot of database vendors left. EBSCO and ProQuest bought them all. So they'll look similar, but you're searching a very different universe of information. Sessoins is only going to search journals about sociology. So if I was doing a topic about music, this probably isn't my best choice, right? So that's why I start with the interdisciplinary bigger ones. And then as you progress through your research, you can go to the ones that are more niche about individual disciplines. All right, a couple more minutes. I just want to show you two more things. So just as a reminder, along the way, you're saving stuff to your library, right? You're saving those things so you have access to them, so your research is organized, so you don't have to stress out about where you found this information. But also, Zotero is going to help you create that works cited at the end. So just as a review, any word editing program, Google Docs in this case, Microsoft Word, Notepad, whatever, you can take all of your results, shift click, drag and drop into Google Docs, whatever, and it'll create those MLA citations for you based on the information that Zotero was able to capture from the library databases. This is really effective. It's pretty good. Most of the time, just give it a quick once over, look at, the template of what it should look like, make sure it's looking good before you like submit this. So there isn't silly mistakes. Cause again, this is something that's computer generated, but Zotero is going to get you, 99% of the way there. And then instead of starting from scratch, you're just making some final like adjustments. Whoops. So again, make sure that you have your preferences set up here in Zotero so that when you do export, you're doing it in MLA and you select that. And you can see here, you can easily change back and forth to the different styles if you're using this for different classes, for example. Okay. And finally, your questions will probably come as you start doing your work, as you start getting into some of these databases. So I want you to know that you can ask me these things, send me an email. We can meet on Zoom if you have a question. You need me to go over this, you need me to review something. If my schedule is not working for you, you need something more immediate than waiting for me to email you back. Please use all of the different ways that you can get help. Click on the Ask a Librarian link. There's always a purchase librarian waiting on Zoom from 10 to 4 every day. You can click this link and there's going to be one of us waiting for you to ask a question and we can walk you through, share our screen. It's a really like effective way. It would be as if you came into the library and saw us at the reference desk. If it's outside of 10 to 4, Monday through Friday, you can get help 24/7. Live chat, it's always a real person, it's never a robot. But won't always be a purchase librarian. Unlike Zoom, there's always a purchase person here. This is literally available 24/7. So, at 2 a.m., purchase librarians are not working, but a professional librarian is. And so you can always get help that way. This is not a great place to go for very like purchase specific questions, like do you know what the hub hours are going to be in the fall? But this is a great place to go if I need help finding scholarly journal articles. This is my topic. Where should I begin looking? Or I found this thing, I'm not sure if it's good enough for me to use, or I don't know how to cite this. Anyone who's staffing this service, they're all a trained librarian, they can all answer questions like that. You can, of course, email me personally, but if you want to send an email to all of us, so all of the librarians will see this, and then so you'll have a chance of like 10 different people to answer your question as opposed to just waiting for me to get back to you. I'm just one person. You can send your question this way, right? Or, of course, you can also text us. Texting is not a great way to get into like a complicated research interaction, but if you have a really quick question, can you help me cite this? I found this journal article, how do I actually get the full text? So text with us as well. So um, there are many different ways to get help. Please take advantage of them. And please ask your questions as you start using these resources. um, the more you use them, the more comfortable you will be with them, the better you'll be at researching. Being a good researcher is just all about experience. There's no, special skills required or anything like that. Just the more you do it, the more more easy it'll be for you to do. So please ask us for questions. That's why we're here, to help you. Okay. Does anyone have any questions right now for me before we wrap up with my part? And if you do, you can put them in the chat. Okay. Seems like no, which is totally fine. Like I said, most of your questions will not come until you actually start working with some of these databases. So I'm just going to stop my screen share and